Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the Camo Net Podcast. This is a show that covers Armor Reforger and everything that comes with that. Updates, the roadmap, community events, and our thoughts on that stuff. I'm one of your co hosts, Bambi Sandy.
I'm one of your co-hosts, Skittles.
And being the first episode, we're just going to briefly touch on the boring bits of who we are and where we came from, along with some of the topics for today, which include server owner, admin, and squad lead tools that the game needs, game balance, just how that kind of stacks out on a couple of different levels, camo nets being the best thing since sliced bread, and attack helicopters, and whether that's a net positive or net negative for the average match. Um, so just starting with myself real quick. Not that anyone cares, but you know, inevitably when you give a shit take, you're just gonna have to kind of bounce it off of something. Uh, I started playing PC in 2014 with DayZ on a laptop. Moved over to Arma 3 on a strange. Someone randomly reached out to me that I didn't remember being a friend with on Steam and asked if I wanted to play, and I was like, I don't own that game, but I don't own any other games, so I'll try it out. Played that to death in the glory days before or while they were still releasing all the DLC. Got really good at that. None of that really took me anywhere. Moved over to Squad explicitly from the get go to do competitive. Figured that I would bounce over to CSGO after that, and that Squad was just going to be kind of like my intro into giving a damn and trying to be good at games, and I just didn't move on from Squad. Um, did that for roughly 3,000 something hours, real hours, not AFK. Was on a couple of teams, had a couple of teams myself. Um, Focused a lot on the team building and community side of things, as probably the average vet in squad can tell you. Inevitably, you just lose interest in playing as lat and hat and medic and rifleman, and it becomes less about how many kills you can get per game and a little bit more about like the chess side of like getting people to where they need to be and setting up this base. And do I put a hab on the objective, or do I put it just off of the objective? What are my priorities here and stuff like that. Really enjoyed that, and figured that I would try to replicate that a little bit in Reforger.
And like I said, I'm Skittles. I started playing PC probably around the same time as Bambi did. I was never part of the Daisy Arma 2, Arma 3 days. I did watch a lot of it on YouTube, but my first introduction to any of like uh, any simulator of any sort, I guess, would be Squad. I started playing that when it was in alpha still, and then I was off and on since then. I started off on a desktop actually. My dad built for my birthday. That got ruined, and I just was off and on. I got probably about 1,000 hours in Squad itself. I wasn't focused on the competitive side of things at all. Just kind of wanting to build a team or be part of a community that was somewhat competitive. Tried to find a good place for that. I thought I found one for a little bit, but kind of fell through on that, and then I switched over to Reforger. So
We are from a group called Camo Net Supremacy. Uh, we're kind of general vibe of the group is to bring competitive to Reforger at the very least in the same way that it exists for Squad. So there are 3-4 tournaments that happen a year for Squad with 30 to 40 different teams spread out through those, which is honestly as good as it really needs to be. No one really expects outside of CSGO to get paid for this stuff. Um, the podcast isn't really an advertisement for the group, however, uh, but we're not going to pretend that we're not biased, super biased. Everything that we're going to kind of talk about and everything that we kind of view the game through is from a competitive lens or filter. So most of the people that are pretty active with the game that are probably going to watch this are not competitive players, or they have a vomit inducing reaction when they hear the word. It means something different for us at the very least.
Mhm. Definitely.
So first topic that we're going to kind of start off with is the server owner slash kind of admin and squad lead tools that the game needs. The little bit, I don't want to spend most of this time obviously talking about a different game, but I I never thought it was spoiling, but Squad, I guess, spoiled me. Both from just like simple stuff like having your own little training server, just a little 20-person server to test stuff out, feel things out, maybe feel out an update, different helicopter mechanic changes and stuff like that,
Mm.
to messing around on large servers as game master and admin, and then going through and looking at some of the config options that you can kind of set up. Um, the lack of customization from a server owner perspective is really concerning. The fact that when your match ends in Reforger on Conquest, these are all comments, namely about Conquest. Um, the fact that when your match ends, you basically just get booted from the server as it reloads the same map file really kind of sucks. It means that unless the people that you're playing with are really going against the grain and manually changing the map file that's being referenced that you're playing on, maybe on a bi-weekly basis, uh, you're just kind of dealing with the same experiences. Things get stale. You see it in Squad now, where yeah, they'll go through like update to update, and they'll, well, I guess maybe not since they added faction voting, but yeah, they would add a couple layers here and there where you're fighting. Oh, uh, Yeeho ASV3 is against Russia and British now instead of Russia US, and the objective layout is slightly different. But you're playing that for 4 or 5 months, 6 months at a minimum.
Yeah.
It gets really goddamn stale, which is part of the reason why they really uh, leaned into the community want for voting, so you could
Mhm.
effectively just not have to deal with garbage maps that no one wants to play or maps that people are burnt out on. Everyone hates Korra. I don't understand. Korra's fantastic.
I
Um,
love Korra, honestly.
but you're really feeling that, or at the very least, we feel that with Reforger. We primarily
Hmm.
play on War Pigs. Shout out, shameless plug, if you want to stop by. Uh, Pretty much sort of the gold standard for Reforger for PvP conquest. Um, and even then, they just have every objective turned on the map, with the exception of the radio towers extending your range. Uh, and even then, there are huge sections in the map that you just don't play in. It'd be fantastic, for instance, if as a server owner, I could go in and say, okay, this week I want these objectives in this sort of a line with these connections. I want these, weapons limitations or these vehicle limitations. And as long as I'm not adding in equipment or textures or weapons or uniforms or anything like that from a mod, it shouldn't even prompt people to download anything. It should just automatically download the mission file, kind of like it does with Arma 3 when you go to join the server. And sure, maybe that takes like a minute to download at most, but you're really just talking about kilobytes uh, on paper, I suppose, anyways. Um, so it'd be, namely, even, whatever weapon restrictions, vehicle restrictions. It'd be fantastic if, hey, we just played a match, just finished. Now it just randomly rotated or selected the next mission file or the next call. And now we're fighting on the south of, Everon instead of the north side or instead of the whole map. Or maybe it's an eastern focused side or a western focused side. I really feel like that would solve another issue that we'll bring up later with game balance, where the west side of the map is just so wide, and the east side of the map is so narrow and necessary that anytime if you spawn on the south side of the map, I should say, extending out to the west side of the map and like the northwest side of the map is just worthless, just pointless. You'll take an objective, you'll walk away, and then 5 seconds later, the Russians or the other team is already taking it because everything connects to everything. If you take Cav Hill, 7 objectives connect to it. So even if you do your best to hold down Cav Hill and you're working on 2 others, it's really not working out. Whereas with the eastern side of the map, you push your way up through Levy and Laruns and then Chotain and then Coastal Chotain. You take Andre's Beacon, and then you just don't have to worry about the east side of the map anymore. Then you just push west. And yeah, you can swim across the bay from Carmovin to Andre's Beacon, but no one's doing that, and no one's really like hot dropping with a heli like that either. It would fix that problem, for instance, along with I think lots of others.
Is that where I was supposed to talk?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, honestly, I agree. It's very right side heavy on the map if you look at it. I think it's especially too spread far out for it to be any fun for anybody. I think the reason a lot of people focus on the right side is because it's maybe a 5-minute run from like I want to say Chotain down to Coastal Bay Chotain, or even Chotain to Entre Deux or something like that. Like it's very easy for them to get caught up on that right side, and no one really wants to play on the left side to me. So
that's a super good point. I totally kind of when I picture the map in my mind and I picture kind of that west side, I'm like, kind of like equilateral between like the distance between Entre-Deux and Chotain, but it really isn't. It's probably double the distance from like Cav Hill to Morton Valley. And two, the chances on the east side that when you're going to one of those other objectives that someone's going to run into you, which makes it more engaging, which kind of muscle memory wise makes it an easier default choice, is huge. You can fuck around as like a duo or a trio on the west side of the map, and just everything that you do is kind of meaningless. But at the very least, if you're on the east side, if I'm running from Chotain to Entre-Deux, and the enemy team starts taking coastal Chotain, that is, I just turn to the right, and it's basically the same distance of a run, or a remainder of a run.
Yeah, and like I have the map pulled up here on my separate screen, and it's very heavily introduced for the right side, coming from both ways. If your starting point is on the south side or on the north side, north side it's more central to possibly west side of the map or left side of the map. But again, most of the player base focuses on Montagnard Province, Figari, Morton, and that's about as far west as they go. Maybe Pinewood Lake and Cav Hill, but like it's really about it.
Yeah. And then oh, good.
Sorry, I just am looking at the map here. There's something that caught my attention. Okay.
No, it's all good. The admin portion of this topic piece is also wild. Not that many people are probably going to understand it or expect it, but as an admin, you don't have an event log either out of game or in game, and that's a real time event log that I'm talking about. Um, so there's no like historical kill feed that you can scroll through like on the top right as it appears. So if an admin goes AFK for a little bit, comes back, and people are crying about getting repeat team killed, uh, you hear a lot of the sentiments when you're on a server. The admins will say, or people will copy and paste. Well, you gotta have video evidence and go into the Discord and submit your evidence. That's because the admins can't actually go back and see like, oh yeah, 5 minutes ago, one guy team killed 7 people.
7 people.
There's no timestamps on it either. So there's
Mm-hmm.
even if that did well, I don't want to say even if it did exist, but there's no way to tell like was that a helicopter crash? If it was a
Right.
helicopter
Was it a car
crash,
crash or something?
yeah, if it was a helicopter crash or a car crash, all of those deaths would have the same like time stamp. But if
Stamp
it's
on it.
some guy that's legit just team killing over and over again, there's like
Right. It would be a
six
couple seconds
second
apart or something.
differences. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's obscene. That's like a basic feature that has to be in the game. It should
Yeah.
be very easy to admin because most of the time what you're dealing with, I don't want to sit on the server for, if I get off work and I've got 4 hours to play, 5 hours to play, which is pretty gracious. I don't want to spend all that time just sitting on the server, kind of doing nothing and floating
Yeah.
around in admin cam. Sometimes I'm kind of in the mood for that. Some people kind of lean into that, but your average admin experience, they want to play the game just like everyone else.
Right.
So the easier it is, the better the community is going to feel about it. The better the server owners and admins are going to feel. And
Mhm.
it's really just a win-win there.
Yeah. That's kind of something I feel like War Pigs especially does pretty well. They always have at least 2 or 3 admins on, and then there's a designated admin that deals with in-game stuff. And then if they're busy with something else, then one of the other admins will grab the help and stuff. And as long as there's a believable amount of truth, then they're pretty good about getting kicks and stuff going. I've noticed at least. So
Yeah, for sure. The difference, I've had this thought in my because it most of it's all Bohemia games, right? Daisy, Arma 3, Reforger.
right,
But it's kind of the same way for Squad. Community hosted servers are a lot of what these games not
are
rely on, but yeah, are based on, are
yeah,
supported with. So it's
yeah,
the same dynamics basically across the board. The difference between a good server and a bad server are the admins actually on to enforce rules, and then to
right,
a lesser extent, what are the rules? And so just kind of to tie it back in, anything that makes it easier for admins to do their thing. Because reasonably speaking, it shouldn't take 3 admins that are playing on the server to deal with a thing or to catch a thing. It really should just
right.
be a guy that's necessary or needed.
Mhm.
Um, then that's kind of all I had for that. Oh yeah, throwing this in as an admin piece. Slight personal gripe, especially with training servers or practice servers. Little 10, 20 person servers to test stuff out on. Not being able to manually set people's ranks or
Mhm.
team swap people as an admin. What's up with that? Uh,
Yeah,
the
that's kind
fact
of
that
that's
the fact that when there's a helicopter update, all the helicopters are locked behind rank, even if you remove the yeah, I think it's even the case if you remove global supply usage. Um, the fact that we have to go through and spam the radio tower on our little
on Earth
practice
or something.
server,
Yeah,
yeah, is just what what are you doing? Um, I and two, like, if I'm a server admin or a server owner, maybe that goes against the experience that I'm trying to curate for the server, right? Say Skittles is a crack heli pilot and he's been playing on my server, my public server, for the last 6 months, and my team's kind of hurting right now. I see that he joins. I'm like, oh man, that'd be great if we could get him to ferry people around. That would really make up the difference. That would really help balance the match so far.
Mhm.
I should be able, as an admin, to just right click on him in the little game master or admin mode and give him the prerequisite rank so that way he can just
Hop
grab the
in and
helicopters.
grab the helis. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
Um,
kind of my thinking on a future
and,
topic we have here.
and two, like I guess devil's advocate, you could abuse that, but that's the at that point the abuse is going to happen in some other way.
Yeah,
And then that's kind
yeah,
of what I like
that's
after that.
that's kind of how I felt too. I think it would be nice to manually set the rank, especially on the practice servers, because there are times where I hop on and I'm like, well, I can't really do anything right now. I have to go
And I
switch a
mean,
tower on and off. Like,
yeah, maybe I'm crazy, but many a time I have with the global supply on and off as an option for the scenario. I'm pretty sure that the rank persists, or rather, the rank requirement.
yeah, yeah, not a
Um,
fun thing, honestly.
and then a piece off of that, right? Like it, in regards to admin and server owner ability to curate an experience, maybe have like a plugin option or something, some uh, line in the config that's blank where you can add if you want. Being able to whitelist and blacklist roles or slots or maybe access. So
Mhm.
maybe instead of having to manually go in and set Skittles' rank, if I know that he's just a perfect facet for my community, anytime that he pops on, I want him to have the ability at the very least to fly transport helicopters around and stuff. Um, I should be able to like build that in to the experience.
Yeah,
I uh, I know that the game doesn't really, again, a little spoiled by Squad. I know that the game doesn't really handle roles and restrictions like that on a base level, anyways. But that would be nice.
nice to have, extremely helpful to have, especially if you it would also encourage like good players coming back to your server. I would say like not saying that there's new people that aren't good, but like if you want a community to be built up on the backs of good players, then having that little bit of um, incentive, I guess, to play on your server would be nice.
Yeah, for sure. Um, I don't know what I put for this word. Oh, squad leads. Um, also an admin piece slash squad lead piece. The fact that you can't kick people from your squad as a
Mhm.
squad lead, huh? Like, I can't
The only
even
way to
devils
get
it.
rid of that person is to leave that squad and create a new one. Like,
Yeah, and people just make tons of one man squads, and there's a
yeah,
maximum number of squads that you can have because they're linked with frequencies per team. So who's to say that if you leave your squad, you can even make another one?
mhm,
Uh, we exist in the internet, right? Like the internet wasn't made 2 years ago. We all know by now that there are people that are going to join your squad, probably, and spam music at some point or call you a racial slur or something like that. You really can't do anything to kick that person from your squad, really. I just I feel like
it
that's in
is.
a lot of games.
Yeah, it is in definitely a lot of games, especially in squad. Like that was one of the times. Anytime I would play with someone and we didn't want someone to be in our squad because we needed someone else, we'd kick that person. Like it's just kind of it's ingrained in I guess the DNA of certain games too. So
Yeah. Um, and maybe a piece of that, I would think that that would be a squad or a fire team rework. Part of that rework would it'd be nice. I didn't really have a topic or a subtopic to throw this under, but I mentioned squad lead stuff and it didn't fit with anything else, so I just want to pigeonhole
Right.
it in. Um,
Yeah.
if if inevitably we're going to be able to build fobs not connected to objectives, and even just right now with everything connected to objectives, are we really comfortable in Reforger with anyone being able to place anything on any
Yeah.
objective? Like they did the
Ah.
rank rework to address, I believe, maybe I'm wrong. They did the rank rework to keep people from spawning in and within the first 5 minutes in a server, creating a 400 cost loadout.
Yeah.
But you can effectively steal 400 supply from an objective by placing doubles and triples of things.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think that would tie in with even vehicle stuff like heavy and light vehicles. Like anybody being able to spawn in friggin' LAV without it being super locked or something, or even not even LAV, maybe a 50 cal Humvee or something. Like just the waste of assets that goes into that, I think is kind of absurd without being able to, I guess, lock that for lack of a better word.
No, I totally agree. And I definitely feel it, especially ironically enough in seeding matches where like, hey, there's 30 people on the server. I don't have anything going on for the next hour and a half. I'll be a body. Uh, I, especially during live matches, I don't want to do a supply run on Montanak, even though it's right in the middle of the map. It's one of the most popular objectives. It's one of the most
Yeah.
attacked objectives. If you have nowhere else to go, you hop into the server. You don't know what's happened in the last 3 hours that the match has been going.
Right.
Montanak, Provins, Entradur, Fagari. Those are
Fugari,
the
always
those are
gonna
the
have something happening.
yeah, those are the places that you can't go wrong. Kind of AFK a little bit, pick a corner, look at the map, see how things are going, maybe make some
Hmm.
food or something, slightly
Right.
AFK. I don't want to do supply runs on those places because I know that there's
They're
no
hot
limitation.
places.
Well, no,
Yeah.
there's no limitation on what people can spawn in. Like,
Right.
cool loadouts, I get it, but again, what's to stop someone from placing 4 radio towers? There's already
Right.
one on the point, or like 3 more
Right.
arsenal bunkers. There's
Or
no,
four more different vehicle spawners. Like,
yeah. Um, Ironically enough, I feel like, just favorite word of the day, ironically, I feel like that's more of a problem on like coastal Chotan. I feel like every single time that I go to coastal Chotan, there's 3 light vehicle spawns or 3 light vehicle modules around, and I just maybe it's kind of what we talked about earlier, like the east side of the map being sort of like a safe feeling or a
right.
known feeling for a lot of people, so it just
Yeah.
happens there more.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure, honestly. I do think that the rate that people can spawn vehicles in is definitely absurd a little bit. Maybe have it kind of like on the back end, like we're talking about admins, maybe be able to set it to like 4 vehicles per person per match. Maybe you can, there's plenty of vehicle spawns around the map. You can definitely find like a van or something that doesn't cost anything for your team.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
lying around. It's not like you need a 50 cal or a PKM on top. It's nice to have, especially if you're running stuff in the back, like behind enemy lines, I guess. But it's really not a need that is in the game. Maybe shooting down a helicopter, but like that's really the only thing I could see a 50 cal Humvee being used for
yeah.
mid
I
game ish. I
definitely
would say so.
I definitely think that there could be an admin tie in there, like manually setting and setting restrictions, especially if like you have a guy who's like known in the community is kind of a don't give a fuck guy. Maybe you could just
Right.
set at the beginning of the match when he comes in, like, hey, now you've got one opportunity to pull a 50 cal Humvee, and then
Right.
you're done.
After that, you're
Um,
done. Yeah.
yeah. I I don't want to say just take from Squad, but take from fucking Squad.
Right. Like
Like
Squad's got a lot
set
of
it,
good things going for it.
yeah, set it so that way as a team lead or the squad lead, when someone goes to place down a module, it pings me and I have to either approve or deny it. And if I deny it,
Yep.
then it just doesn't let them do it. If someone
Yep.
spawns on Chotan, I'm not saying like set spawn restrictions by any means, but like if someone spawns in on Chotan and we're over on Coastal Morton and they go to build or they go to pull like a light vehicle or whatever, anything. Um, except for I wouldn't really agree with like loadout limitations, but I suppose that's like that's the left and right limit that you can set as a server owner and admin.
Right.
Set it so that way it pings me and I can go, no, no, you're not spawning in that fucking 50 cal Humvee. We're over here. Come
Right.
play with us. And if you
Come
don't
play with
like
us.
that,
Come be a squad.
yeah, and if you
Go
don't
find
like
us.
that, maybe you fucking okay. Well, I'm doing a specific thing over here. I figured I'd just ask because I've had moments like that in squad where like, hey, I'm actually the only person in the squad that's trying to do a real thing. You guys are
Mhm.
fucking around and doing nothing. Okay, well, I can still go do what I need to do. I just can't spawn in a 1,500 ticket or 1,000 ticket 50 cal Humvee. I just have to hoof it. That's fine.
Right.
That still gives you
Go find a
options.
Go find a car. Call of Duty.
Yeah.
There's
Um,
plenty of cars in the areas.
yeah. So, next topic, just roll on through game
Mhm.
balance.
Mhm.
The factions. I don't have 3,000 hours in the game. I haven't been here since day one. I get it. I wasn't a part of like the pre-alpha or the beta. I guess we're technically all on a beta, but
Yeah.
it's interesting just looking. The the factions are obviously balanced in some way. There was a process.
There was
Uh,
yeah.
it's interesting to think about how that might have happened, and I think it's just actually a point towards Bohemia having a really good like QA department or good
Yeah.
playtesters, because surely part of the process was, hey, we're going to give US or we're going to come out with this thing for the US. And then like a week
Mhm.
goes by and the playtest info comes back. Hey, that's super overpowered. Okay, well, we have to set like
Right.
a deficiency or a downside for US to balance that. We because all the bullets should do reasonable damage. You don't want to like,
Mhm.
you don't want to turn this into Fortnite where like, oh well, everything has to be perfectly balanced. So like, if the M4s and the AKs effectively kill people in 3 rounds, we got to make it so that way the M14 kills people in 3 rounds. Well, that fucking means that the M14 is pointless. It's supposed to be a DMR and like a
Right. It's supposed
sniper
to be a 30
rifle.
6. Yeah.
Yeah, so like, well, so like the game balance as it is, I suppose for people that don't know, is like the Russians have better body armor, even as standard. Like even if you're not
Yep.
picking the literal upgraded body armor, the Russians
Oh
have
yeah.
better body armor. They're uh
Starting gun, I would say, is better, honestly, for
oh,
the Russians.
way
AKM versus
better.
the M16 is kind of wild.
Oh yeah, but then they were like, okay, well, U.S. has to have some starting automatic weapons, so we'll give them the
Right.
saw. But
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, the saw is fucking OP. Um, please, dear God, if anyone from Bohemia is listening, please
Don't touch the saw.
rank restrict the 200 round boxes for the saw.
Oh,
Okay, that's
dude.
all you need to do. You can leave the saw where it is. The saw shouldn't be, maybe, I don't know. I'm gonna draw a lot of flack for this. The saw shouldn't be rank locked, especially if it's gonna be US's only automatic weapon. But the 200 round belts are just, it's not. Listen, you either kill people from bushes, you kill people
Hmm.
in bushes, or you're moving through bushes to get to where you need to be.
Yep.
The bushes aren't physicalized, so they're completely just walk through them all day long. Uh, with the saw, with no skill, with no info, with just a vague assumption, you can completely just clear out bushes and tree
Oh yeah.
lines and shit. And you
Yep.
haven't even used like half your Mac by that point. It's ridiculous.
Especially with the tracer rounds on there.
Yeah,
The hip fire is just
it's wild.
yeah.
I consistently get pushback on that, and people just say like, "Well, that's the whole purpose of the saw, and what are you talking about? You know, that's just something that you have to deal with. Get good." But often when I'm talking shit about the saw, it's when I'm killing 8 to 9 people on an objective
With
with
the
the
saw,
saw. Like it's
it's not really
almost an
fine.
active choice as an American to not use the saw. I make
Hmm.
a conscious decision to not go with the better weapon when I keep the M16. And when I die with the M16 after only killing 2, 3 people, I ask myself, why didn't I just bring the saw? Like, why? Every time I go up to Entradur and I have like an M14 or an M16 as a US guy, like, what? Why am I doing this? I know that I'm only
Feel
going to be able to
very
kill like
called out
maybe
right now.
1 to 2 people.
Right.
Uh, I just fucking rank restrict the 200 round magazines. There are soft packs that exist for the saw. You can fucking physicalize
Especially
them and
during
put
the
them in the
time, yeah.
game. Yeah,
You could
like
even, because it's supposed to be in like the 80s, you can even just give it like a belt of 150 rounds. That'd
no,
be
no,
fine
no,
with
no,
me.
no, no, brother. You got to go deeper. It's got to be a real trade off. It's got to be like you can throw 30 round Stanag mags into the side like you actually can, and you can
Yep.
work with that. Or maybe there are 50 round soft packs, so that way there isn't a proper, like, crew serve advantage there. You do get more time to put down suppressive fire or to, like, spray transfer to another group of guys or something.
Mhm.
But the 200 round boxes, you can't. You can't just
Yeah.
let anyone have access to that. I haven't seen, to be fair, it's hard to, like, because you don't, when you run by people, you don't see like what squad they're in. So it's hard,
Yeah.
it would be hard to see it anyways. But if you had a squad of 5 guys that were all just rocking saws with tracer ammo, uh, going from objective to objective, people would sober up real quick. And
I
only
can see that.
because that doesn't happen in a really publicized manner, no one recognizes the concern. Listen, we're literally
Right.
competitive players. I'm telling you right now. Don't do it. Fix it before it becomes cancer.
Yeah. Kind of on that note, something completely different. I would like to see the 240 in the game eventually
I
with a
would like to see a
75 round
240
soft
too.
pack. I would be, even if it replaced the M60, I'd be fine with that.
I would also like to see the
It's just,
240.
it's just drippy. I enjoy the 240, the way it looks, the way it sounds.
Maybe maybe the trade-off there or the inherent balance there is that, okay, well, you've got the M60 and you've got the saw for US. Maybe the 240 then fits into a strange, well, it's got a rail on the feed cover so you can put a scope on it. The fire rate's slow, sort of like the M60, not quite as slow as the
Mhm.
M60. Um,
It
and
should
maybe
honestly,
maybe you can only get the 75 round ammo packs, right? So the M60 is sort of like
uh,
the, because is the M60 150 or 200 round belts?
200, I believe.
Yeah. Um, Maybe the trade off there is that the saw and the M60 are effectively hipfire weapons, and then
Yeah,
the 240 is more of like a proper, more accurate long range sort of deal.
right. I feel like it would definitely take the place of, um, not the place, but be in the same realm as the what is it, the PKM on the Russian side that you can throw a scope on and kind of have as like a more like support weapon, I would say, not just a spray and pray.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
So
so game balance wise, like the something exists. I haven't found an instance where I didn't really disagree with it. I think it's kind of wild to give the Soviets full auto AKs, like just
and better body armor as well.
yeah. But
That
even just like the AK piece and not give US access to the full auto M4s.
right.
Um, and I'll touch on a question or a thing after that, but there's something there. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
Touched on belt-fed weapons being ridiculous in general.
Yep.
When you unlock the PKM on the Soviet side, it's pretty goddamn good too. Fire rate
Yeah.
obviously isn't quite as fast as the SAW, and the fact that it's somewhat rank locked means that it's kind of a different situation. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be crew serve weapons or belt-fed guns in the game. I'm just saying like you it's not about 100% realism. Otherwise, when you go to build something, the animation would take 5 minutes to set up a camo net. Well, realism, that's roughly how long it takes if you have a crew of like two people setting up the poles and stuff. You kind of have to balance realism with, is it just gonna make people angry, like
Mhm.
unanimously angry?
Yeah.
Um, and the saw just, it's anger inducing. Um,
Only when you're on the receiving end, though.
I mean, I'm probably the one person in the world that just yells at my monitor as I'm using the saw, and I'm like, "What? Why am I able to do
Why?
this?
Why is this happening?
Why is this happening to me?"
What's
Um,
happening?
Speaking of game balance, helicopter differences. A later topic is attack helicopters specifically, but
Yeah.
obviously, like the MI8, bit of a meme. It's the flying bathtub.
It really
Flies,
is.
flies. Did you guys know that they added jets to the game? And it's just reskinned as the MI8. Those wings are actually real, don't you know?
This week's
Um,
real.
the how nimble the Huey is incredible. I
Yeah.
wish I wish that they would better balance the MI8 against the Huey from a peer-to-peer aspect. Um,
Hmm.
Obviously, like the MI8s are fucking tanks to ground fire.
Thanks.
Even if you're lighting it
Exactly.
up with the saw, it doesn't. You breathe on the Huey with like a couple of tracer rounds from a saw, and you
And it starts
get the thing.
smoking. It's on
Yeah,
fire.
and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
sorry.
it's like so
It's funny you
compact
say
that
that.
you can only hit something that's vital.
Vital. Yeah.
Um,
It's definitely funny you say that. That is a lot of what the attack always was going to be. So.
um, the MI8 though, like if you're in an air battle, and it's funny that we're commenting on this and we don't fly helicopters. Um,
Right. Exactly.
Instant hatred. The in an air battle, Huey versus the MI8, right? The Huey's gonna win all day, every day, just because of the
Exactly.
speed and the
And
nimbleness
the
and the
nimble.
turning
Yeah. The.
radius.
Yep.
Uh, the MI8 has to do like a 500 mile, I almost said meter, like a 50 mile fucking turn radius, and the Huey is
Turn.
just
Yeah.
behind it the whole time.
To do a
Um,
full 180, the MI8 has to wait 30 to 40 business days.
Yeah. Uh, how is there no rear door gun for the MIA? I get that there's the
Actually,
side gun
yeah.
on the back. That's not what it should be. It should
No.
be a rear ramp
Rear.
door
Yeah.
gun.
Definitely.
Fold open the doors on the back and be able to
Also,
shoot something that's chasing you.
the fact that you can't open the doors on the back even when you're not in um when you're not getting shot at, just to
Yeah.
get people inside. The fact that there's one entrance and one exit for people to hop out of is mind-boggling to me, because you would definitely be able to open the back of that helicopter and just have people pouring out of there. Like it wouldn't just be one door, even for the pilot. Like
Yeah, I remember when we were doing the initial helicopter testing. They patched the thing out, by the way. I'll mention that later,
Oh,
but
did they?
yeah, it sucks. I
Dang.
mean, but yeah, shouldn't have been in the game anyways. But
Nah,
um,
that's fair, but sad times.
6 people, I think, or like 4 people, however many. Well, because the door gunners can get out too, so 6 people and the Huey can get out exactly
All
at
at
the
the same
same
time.
time, one
Yeah,
person at a time for the
right.
MIA.
And
So
there's
even if
15 people in there.
yeah, even if they had parachutes, the pilot would have to fly over the area over and over and over and over and over again with the one door to parachute people. It's ridiculous.
Realistically, you would have to hover, and then at that point, you already have an LAV looking at you or some grunt
Yeah,
on the ground with a RPG just being like, "Oh, nice."
yeah, for sure. Um, so there's some work needed there.
Definitely work
Um,
needed there. Maybe if they brought in the like, maybe if they brought in attack like actual attack helicopters instead of just having the troop transport helicopters switched over to attack helicopters, that might fix it. But
yeah,
then you get the whole like pilot co-pilot thing going on, all the fun stuff.
yeah. Touch real quick on the uniforms differences. Russia. I'm sure that it feeds into that whatever game balance exists for the
Yeah,
game. The tan uniforms, dude.
really sticks out like a sore thumb
It's
anywhere.
so bad. Make it a little fucking darker. Use the justification
Right.
that the Russian uniforms are just dirty, right? Put some mud textures on there or something. It's almost orange or like a
Yeah.
I guess it literally is beige, but like it's so bright. And the clash of the ordinary Russian body armor and helmet with
Yep.
the tan makes it even worse. Uh,
Very eye catching if you're on the US side.
I've been teaching new players a couple of times, both as US and as Soviets, and the amount of times that I've gotten laughs or like, what the fuck? How did you know that? Uh, you hear like a vehicle audio and you're like, oh, wait, hold on, fucking run over a little bit, run to the corner of a building or something. All you have to see is 0.2 seconds of the guy in the driver's seat, and you're like, oh, that was a Russian, we're fine. Or
Russian.
like, oh, that was a
Yeah, we're good.
Russian, hey, we gotta fucking wrap around to the other side of town. Um,
Right.
it's so fucking bad. You look like a fucking clown.
Right. Well, like
Make
even if they opened the, sorry to interrupt, but
no, you're
if
good.
they opened the like camo side of stuff to where like maybe not as rank locked, I feel like that'd be nice. It'd be an easy balance thing to do.
Yeah. You
Because like the later Russian uniforms you get are pretty good. Like the pair of overalls that's white and green, it literally blends in pretty much anywhere. Like
Yeah. And maybe the reality isn't that you give Soviets access to green camo. Maybe what you're actually should be doing, set the default uniform for US to something equally fucking stupid and visible.
yeah,
And so that
yep,
way both sides have to progress in rank to unlock the not shit uniforms.
right.
Um,
Give us to the chocolate chip camo.
yeah, fucking
That'll
uh,
stick out.
something, man. Like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Even the flat green, um, even the flat green uniforms
All like the
are,
OD green uniforms. Yeah.
yeah, those are worse than the default US
Mhm.
camo. So like even that flip flop it,
Yep.
something is needed there. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily have the correct answer, but I'm asking the question.
Right.
And then I put radios under game balance, but I don't think that I was actually in my right mind because the only thing that I
I
can
was.
think of talking point wise for radios is why can't you turn off the second channel?
Oh, okay. So you did mean the actual like communication radios, not the spawn-in ones.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's very true. Why can't I just turn off? I know people will say just cycle it to a different frequency, but
But you're
sometimes like people on that
inherently,
frequency.
yeah, all of the frequencies that you cycle between only
Yeah.
exist when someone makes the squad to correspond to
Exactly.
that frequency.
Yep.
So you're really just running the gambit of, am I talking in someone else's squad and they're probably have like voice over net turned off, or
Right.
like
Exactly.
um I just, and then two, I really wish that they would expand the frequencies. uh, why are you I kind of agree with, when you make a squad, you just automatically get a frequency that's allocated for that squad. But
Yep.
also, shouldn't you be able to set up with your team like region frequencies, right? Like
Right.
we were playing a game with Lunaire, shout out Lunaire, and he was doing helicopter stuff on the east side of the map, and we were fucking on the west side of the map on Coastal Morton. Like, can't we section effectively our team into like, hey, for all the people that are on Coastal Morton and on the west side of the map, the team channel for that is going to be fucking this frequency, and all the people that are on the east side of the map, this is the frequency that we're going to use for that. Uh,
Right.
More freedom there, I feel like, isn't a negative.
Yeah. I mean, even as someone who I like picking up enemy radios just to listen in on the comms, if I could just cycle my radio to see if I could find enemy comms, that would make me infinitely happier with the radio situation on this.
Yeah.
Like just having that like if I was able to find just the platoon net basically, and just have it on my one radio and not have to pick up an enemy radio or pick up an enemy radio, get the frequencies I needed, and then go to my radio and be able to input them or something. That'd be nice. But
Yeah. Also, shout out to shout out to the radio wheel just completely turning into a post-apocalyptic nightmare when you have multiple radios. So if you pick up an enemy
amen.
radio, suddenly your context radio wheel has like 7 options, and then God forbid you pick up a fucking a spawnable backpack radio, and now you've got like
Right.
5 just within
Yeah.
that one radio.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Kind
yeah.
of crazy.
Hopefully that's what I meant by radios, because there's no real game balance around. Oh no, I know what I meant. Okay, so
I
it
was gonna
wasn't.
say you probably meant what we did on Montanak like a month ago.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like that's kind of allowed in the game, but do you really want people to use the rallies effectively? That's what they're calling the squad. Do you really want people to be able to spawn in using the radios? Because it doesn't really seem like you do, devs. It
Right.
doesn't really seem like you do. Seems like that came with a lot of nerfs. Um, I just I from what I've seen, we're the only people that actually use them. I see people run around with them all the goddamn
With them
time
on the
like
back.
candy.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like a fucking
Yep.
default. But I never see my team in a match. Anyways, I'll run across enemy
No.
radios. I never see
Yep.
people actually using their radios.
I will say a couple times when I've hopped on War Pigs, there'll be like 3 or 4 squads that are like, if you want to spawn on Montanak or like Gravietz, like join this team. We have a radio outside of it.
Yeah.
So, but still, it's very, very few and far between that anybody really uses the radio. I feel like us included, but we kind of use it more effectively than most people would. So,
Oh yeah. Um, Also, see a lot of bug fixes. Don't see any bug fixes regarding the invincible radios. That would be cool to fix.
oh
Which kind of
yeah, the
runs
ones
into.
that just
Good.
the ones that just can't be dismantled and hidden or
Yeah,
anything.
and
Yeah,
two, like you can place them inside of objects and buildings and boulders, and you can put them in ammo supply points, so that way, you know, the container that represents the physicalized supply spawns over the radio, and then you just can't do anything to the radio. Like,
yeah,
I honestly really agree. Never had a problem. Is it realistic? You could find a fucking way. Um, I really like how a squad handles rallies, right?
yeah.
Set the
The
for
proximity.
yes, for Reforger, set it really fucking close. Set it so that way I have to be like
Yeah,
2 feet away from the thing.
I have to
And
physically see it and be like, oh,
yeah, like I have to walk over the thing or walk up to the
yeah,
thing, because that would simultaneously fix that issue of like a radio being in the floor of a building or in a wall or in a
Mhm.
boulder or underneath a burning wreck or in
Right.
a
Yeah.
in a supply connex
In a tree,
and
something like that.
yeah. Um, and then that would also hypothetically be like its own little garbage cleanup script for those radios that are maybe ineffective and bugged out. Okay, well,
Right.
I know a great way to dismantle them if the game just automatically dismantles it when I get close enough anyways.
Hmm. I
Um,
think the only like playing devil's advocate here, just being able to be like you can hear radio, you have to walk up to it and dismantle it, and you don't accidentally find one. But at the same time, if you hear a radio, you know there's going to be a radio in the area. Like
yeah,
it's it's that give and take, I guess. So
yeah, set it so that way like, 15, 20, whatever meters away you can hear the radio, and then set it so that way I have to like actually touch the radio effectively.
yeah,
You could have like a
yeah,
disparity in the distances.
mhm,
There's a period in time where like as long as you got within 25 meters of a radio or 20 meters of a radio in squad, it would delete it. So you would just drive around in a
mhm.
vehicle to crush people's radios, like
Exactly.
or rallies. I don't agree with that
Rallies,
by any
yeah.
means. So
No.
fine tune it however it needs to be, so that way that kind of works.
Yeah.
Um,
And we're not stuck listening to radios on objectives that can't be disappeared anymore. So
yeah, for sure. That's kind of all I had for game balance. You have anything?
well, let's go to camo nets.
Yeah, so
Kind of our
camo
whole shtick
nets.
here.
Yeah. Camo nets are just fantastic. Have you heard the good
Yeah.
word of our
Have
Lord
you
and Savior, the Golden
dude?
Camo Net? Um, real lore. Uh, Camo nets are the best
Yeah.
non-module based, and when I say module I mean like the first aid tents or the living quarters, like the
Yep.
things that you can place down at the bases that serve a literal purpose or an advantage
Purpose.
to that
Yeah.
objective. um,
Yep.
Camo nets are the fucking best. We're kind of diming ourselves out, but it's only really makes the game more fun if I go to an objective and there are
Yeah.
15 camo nets set up. um,
Yep.
you can there are no towers in the game. You can't
No.
place ladders in the game. The camo net is scalable. It's
And
everything. It's everything that you want it to be, baby. It's
exactly.
it's a tower, so that way you can get elevation. That's like our best use for it is like if you go to Entredur, which is effectively on the side of a hill. It's just a very
Yep.
shallow hill. Don't think I
Yeah.
used the right word there.
Shallow would be right.
Fantastic. It gives you that
Oh yeah.
height difference to see people that are just a little bit below you in the wheat field to the southeast side. Really specific reference. Um, to see what you need to see. Right.
Right.
The screenshot background that I have right here, which is an unplaceable camo net on Coastal Morton. Right. The difference between my guy standing on this camo net is I can see immediately anyone below me on the hill that's walking up to me. Whereas if I was like sitting behind the fence ordinarily and sniping down at Morton, people could fucking just literally walk up right in front of my face and shoot me,
Yep.
and I wouldn't
Shoot
be
you.
able to see him coming.
And the best part is that nobody looks on top. Like
Yeah,
I've had several instances where I will be on Montanak and just be on the relay tower and just shooting at all of the people I can, and they have no idea where I am. They're talking to me, going, "I know where you are. Come out." They don't know where I am.
yeah.
I'm literally just on a camo tent, net. Like,
They're obviously one wall of the camo net is transparent, but when you double that up with both sides, if you stand on the side of a camo net when you're doing defense, it's really effective concealment, I guess I should say. It doesn't stop
yeah,
bullets, but people don't shoot what they can't for sure see. So if it's
right,
nighttime and you're standing on the side of a camo net, just because someone kind of thinks they see the outline of a person or there's like a kind of a solid object there, maybe the moonlight's to your back, so you're shining through, people won't shoot you until they for sure see you move around or like actually see that you're a
Exactly.
person. That's all.
Yeah.
Most of the time, all you just need is hesitation, right? The difference between me seeing a guy in the bush and not seeing a guy in the bush is like 2 to 3 seconds. If I can
Yep.
buy 2 to 3 seconds, enough to see like that's the outline of a helmet. That's all I need.
Right. Just a little
Um,
glimpse of the moon off the helmet or something.
yeah.
Or
So
if you're going against the GIs, they have those little glow sticks on the back of the helmets. I call them cat eyes. I think it's fun.
yeah. So the elevation, fantastic, chef's kiss.
Yep. Yep.
Being able to use them just to mix up how you attack objectives and like where you stand.
Right.
So much of this game is just positioning because even the worst player in the game can do recoil control on an AK because they built in the keyhole effect. So inevitably, when you just hold down the button long enough, it literally becomes more manageable. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so positioning is the difference between killing 7 to 8 people on an objective and one manning, and killing 1 to 2 people,
Exactly.
or killing no one at all. Um,
Mm-hmm.
as far as a defense goes, like a placeable thing, it's 60 supply cost for a medium camo net, and it's
Yep.
80 for large.
Yeah.
That is in contrast to a tall sandbag wall, which is 50 supply.
Yep.
A camo net, you kind of got to position it right because there's
Right.
they're effectively rectangles to an extent. Like one side's kind of open or one corner is open, so you got to kind of like play with it a little bit in the build menu. But like say we're on Coastal Morton down there in the screenshot, right? And I effectively want to just build a wall of cover so that way we don't get immediately sniped every time we spawn in. One medium camo net, a 60 cost camo net, gives you 3 walls of coverage.
Yep.
And you can actually like we just said, stand on top of it, stand on the side of it, look through it at people.
Right.
A sandbag wall, you can just climb over it, kind of stand on top of it, look like a doofus. Um, it's just it fills so many different roles. And please, dear God, it's gonna make me cry, but I'll still place them down. Fuck it, you won't. I'm gonna cry if someone hears this and the next update is, oh well, medium camo nets now cost 100 supply and large
100
camo
supply.
nets are 150. Like, oh
Right.
man, I'll still place 3 of them.
Please.
And then slightly screwing ourselves over. This is really the meta commentary about the camo net.
Yeah.
They stop projectiles. They'll
Yeah.
stop. Oh, good.
I was curious. Does that also include AP from like LAVs and
Yes, it does.
BTRs and scouts? Okay, that's what I thought, but I wasn't sure.
Well, the LAV HE is the only armored vehicle that shoots a projectile because it has to hit a surface or a solid thing or an impassable thing to explode.
That's what I was thinking. I just wasn't positive off the top of my head.
If we're wrong, or if you feel like we're just absolutely full of shit and you tested it with your high school friend on Saturday and Lav HE went through the camo net, please let us know so that way we
Yes,
can
please.
immediately change our gameplay tactics and not rely on the camo net in that way.
Yeah.
The
But it does still stop GLs and rockets. So
Yeah, for sure. For sure stops GLs. For sure stops RPGs. For sure stops RPGs. And we're very certain, very, very certain that it stops heli rockets. Now,
Oh,
the shrapnel from that stuff will still go through the camo net. So if you're standing on the backside of a camo net, like I've experienced this 5 million times, and heli does a strafing run, say we're on like Montanak, or even like in the background screenshot right here, say a heli flies over and hits the ground below me, I'll still die, because the shrapnel came through the camo net and killed me, or the explosion effect, however you want to fucking justify that. Or I'm sure there's two
Yeah.
different kinds of damage that the rocket imparts. But if you're on, say, Simon's Wood, and the difference between, a heli comes in really shallow, the difference between 2 to 3 camo nets, even if they're small ones, in between you and the helicopter is enough to save you.
Mm-hmm.
That's like 6. I'm not great at math, but that's like 6 solids that the sandbag doesn't really provide you. An RPG hits a sandbag wall and the sandbag wall disappears. An RPG hits a camo net and the camo net stays strong, brothers.
Yeah. Camo net does not budge.
The camo net has no fear.
It has no fear. Does it also go for mortars? Do we know? Have we tested that yet?
No, but I have not seen a model for a destroyed camo net. I've seen it in Arma 3, which is really fucking funny because it just like lays down. But
lays down, yeah, I've seen those.
Gotcha. Camo Net brothers, the Camo Net
brothers.
Live it,
it is
breathe it.
Supreme defense, offense.
Listen, when the game's
all the things you want it to do.
When the game's treating you bad, the Camo Net's there for you. It holds you
close and lovingly.
Now let's finish up our last solid topic on attack helicopters to garner all the ultimate hatred.
Definitely.
So I'm just gonna go ahead and lead us off with my opinion is that attack helicopters are a net negative for the average conquest or conflict map. The grind that you have to go through to get the attack helicopters. We're not talking about helicopters in general. We're just talking about the attack helicopters. The grind that you have to go through. If you're on, so the average, 128 person server, 60 people on your team, 10 people are AFK, 5 people are semi AFK, just trying to sit on a base and get the defense, experience bonus, so that way they can go play with the M14. 10 people in addition to that on your team are on the south side of the map where they're not going to get killed, just trying to grind out rank over and over and over again by doing supply runs to objectives that no one sits at. Right. So it's a negative in that sense in regards to it literally takes people away. Yeah, they're literally not contributing to the team. That is only a selfish act, right? If you're doing supply runs to bases that no one really spawns at aside from other heli pilots, and you're away for such a long time, granted it's typically at the beginning of a game, but if you come into a game, partway through, you got to do it too. That is a slot that someone could be filling on your team playing with their friends.
Exactly.
And with that comes the distraction of like your focus is just different. And then I would argue, I didn't write it on here. More often than not, when I'm walking around doing my thing and seeing enemy and friendly attack helis doing their thing, it's never in service for the team. It is just turn the brain off. Oh, Coastal Base Morton is right there. It's an enemy objective. I'll lose my entire. What did I say? Loose. I'll fire my entire rocket barrage on Coastal Base Morton. Go reload. Yeah, there you go. I'll go rearm, and then I'll do it again, and then I'll rearm, and then I'll do it again. It's never connected to what the team is actually doing. It's never paired with an offense or a defense measure. You'll rarely have an opportunity based on how the spammy the team chat is. You'll never be able to really communicate with that heli pilot anyways to say like, hey, they're on the east side of this building, or hey, they're on the coast side of the base. So it's never, and you don't get I mean, you get experience technically for killing people, but if you've got the attack heli, you don't need
You
extra
don't really
rank.
know.
And the amount of times that it results in mass team kills, and I'm not talking about just twosies and threesies on a base where it didn't matter.
Like
I'm talking
10,
about
15 people on Montanak or something. Like,
and it's more often than not. I'd say probably more than half the time we're taking the base and you just wiped everyone off on that
everybody.
base and
Yep.
now the entire enemy team respawned on the base and like we have to redo steps A through B or sorry A through
Yeah.
like D.
D.
um
Yeah.
I just in the right hands, if you were able to curate and set, you know, specific rules and restrictions
Right.
or something around it, I suppose, you know, a tool is a tool in anyone's hands.
Mhm.
However, 98% of the people that are available that have an interest in fucking like gun laws would be much more easy to advocate for if practically the only people that were buying guns were just straight up committing murder.
Yep.
Um, most of the
Yeah.
people that are flying around in attack helicopters, they're console players that don't even have headsets. They're playing in the living room, snacking on popcorn, a little bit of console hatred. Got to throw that somewhere in here. Um,
Gonna,
I'm no real hatred. It's just a different vibe. But like, you're not
right.
talking to that guy. You're not coordinating with that guy. He's just effectively like, he's just there. The difference between him flying a helicopter in a single player scenario and being on a server really isn't major to him. Um,
No, definitely not.
so I think that it is a net negative. And even the positive aspects, if you have a good heli pilot that is communicating with the team and is going where he needs to go and hitting where he needs to hit, um, the team will never be fast enough on a public server to actually capitalize on what that guy's doing.
Yeah, for sure. I I would have to agree with most of that. I think it'd be more of a net neutral, but I do see the net negative that you're talking about. Um, but honestly, the grind I had, it's really easy to get the grind going, especially at the start of a match. It can take 20 minutes to get to an attack heli. And after that, it's what you were saying. It's a console player just sitting in his living room, eating a snack, not with a headset on, just kind of flying around for his own amusement, basically, not really helping the team. But if you join in mid match, it's much tougher. Like I can spend, excuse me, I can spend 2 or 3 hours on a match that had started 2 or 3 hours previously and barely be getting to the rank of sergeant. Like it's in my mind not really worth it to grind out mid match. It makes sense to me in the beginning of the match to grind it out, but at that point, if you're gonna do that, might as well just go armor and push with the team and help with that. And that goes into the distraction too. Too many people are distracted by the allure of attack helicopters. Part of my big thing in squad was I was a really good pilot. I would say I was a good pilot. That was my favorite part to do, and seeing people just being kind of like entranced in the pilot aspect of the game makes me both happy but upset because you get those pilots who are basically brand new and they don't tell you until you're already in the air basically, and then they crash and you all die. Like that can be a massive net negative, especially if it's toward the end of the game and you're trying to get to a point and you're almost on the verge of losing, and after that you have no point in trying anymore. Like it's very I do lean towards the net negative, but I do kind of find it myself advocating for the net neutral, honestly, on attack helicopters. So um, the only real benefit I find for it is if you can get in communication with a heli pilot that's willing to help with your push or help with your defense. That's really about the only benefit. But besides that, a heli pilot is most likely a console player, no headset, and does not talk to people. So
Yeah, that's fair. That's kind of it for our main topics. Now we're gonna get to our little niche. Try these out and see if they stick. Sections. So we're gonna lead into some Reddit topics. We're gonna pretend that we're important and that these questions are for us. And for the
Us.
most part, ignore the comments to the Reddit questions,
That's
and
funny
just
because
give
I
our
was reading through
takes
all of them.
effectively as prompts. I did the same thing. I think the
Yeah.
first topic is more about the first response as
Which
opposed to the actual question. The
is it? The
WCS,
WCS one?
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Um, so we're gonna leave names out of this. Maybe if we get popular enough and people actually explicitly write us, then we'll say names.
Yeah.
But are there any WCS servers where Russia isn't a bunch of sweaty speedrunners looking for somewhere where games last a day or two rather than like 3 hours, EU or NA? And the relevant comment that we're going to include is actually the first one. Is that, or is that the reply? It's also so cringe how the usual Russian team players hate on NATO and the players so much and criticize the playstyle since it's typically new players. Like, damn dudes, just hop on NATO and try to teach a few players instead of being weirdly toxic. No, it's not
Yeah.
that the it's not that one. It's yep. Not in public armor. He said army, but meant to say arma. Not in
Armor.
public armor reforger lobbies. I'm salty, I know, but I'm also disappointed in this community. Don't know if this game is too mainstream or if the demanding gamer is dying out, but 80% of the players are not, I repeat, not interested in milsim team play. So I think this question has two pieces. First of all, Russia is typically more sweaty than US, and we talk about this absolutely all the time in private. Maybe
Yep.
we can kind of spread it around. I think it's the result of a couple of different things that maybe if you're a new player listening to this, you can kind of think of, and it's really two different moods. Um, Russia has less accessorizing, less special kind of vehicles. They don't have 50 cal Humvees and the name brand weapons that you want. They don't have great
Right.
scopes. You can't bedazzle your guy quite as much as you can on US. Um,
Mhm.
and because primarily the people that play Arma are American, I think that feeds into the bias quite a bit. So you will
Yeah.
find that Russia just doesn't give a damn about any of that stuff. Russia is all
No.
about, I wouldn't say speed running, but Russia is about just,
The effectiveness of doing it.
yeah, and constant offense more
Yep.
often than defense.
Yeah.
Defense typically comes from just happening to be on an objective when it gets pushed. Um, Whereas US is more, am I going to play as a GL? Or maybe I play with the SAW, so I'm a crew serve role. Maybe I play as a
Yep.
medic, or maybe I play as a sniper, maybe.
Mm.
Whereas with Russia, especially since you get the full auto AK from the get go, uh, you could just give yourself 45 rounder RPK mags with the ordinary
Yep.
AK, and you just, boom, you're ready to go.
Right.
Um, and then the comment, I suppose, or the second piece to this, um, talking about the game being too mainstream, that 80% of players are not interested in milsim team play. Um, this game is largely aimed at milsim people. There's a difference between milsim and milsim, though.
Yeah.
Milsim is a theme, and milsim is can also be an occupation, right? The people that are in units, the people that want to do formations, the people that want to attack objectives and do pincer movements and hey, we're going to hit him from the east side and the west side.
Right.
That is milsim as an occupation. 80% of the players are not interested in that, right? When we spawn in at Chotain and we say that we're going to go attack Entredur, we're just going to go attack Entredur. We're not going to plan it for an hour. We're not going to plan it for 15 minutes. We're going to start running there or we're going to start driving there, and then we're going to kind of feel it out or see how it goes. Like, southeast side is really easy to attack from. Just hug the tree line, push in, get right in on the objective, cut off spawns.
Right.
Or like, maybe we'll wrap around or we'll watch someone die on the map. Okay, well, maybe we'll wrap around to the northeast or the north from like the tower. So if I believe that when most people talk or use the phrase milsim, there's a little bit of a disconnect there. A majority of the players are not, I agree, interested in milsim. But they are here because they're continuing to play the game for the theme of milsim.
Of it.
Yeah.
I would have to agree with that. I think not a lot of people, I don't know if you watch a ton of YouTube or anything, but every once in a while I'll watch like a Karma Cut video just because his videos are long and slightly entertaining. So I can shut my brain off while I do some work or just do idle things. I think that's what people mostly associate with milsim is that big troop movement, having to have everybody in their correct place at all times, and if it doesn't, then the entire thing goes downhill from there. Um, so yeah, I would agree that a lot of people are not interested in that aspect of it. Um, but the allure of having a military-esque or milsim-esque team play in this game, I do think is why a ton of people are still playing this game and it hasn't fallen off the map. So
yeah, for sure. Next Reddit post. Title is Anti-Tank Weapons Should Be Locked Behind a Rank. I say this as someone who never uses armor in the game. I play as infantry 100% of the time, and I always carry something to deal with tanks and armor, because why not? The amount of times that I've stumbled across an enemy armor piece, I'm adding in words here to make it proper English, and easily took it out with 1 or 2 shots of AT is absurd. I'm just a lone guy, and I just took out a main battle tank like it was a nuisance in my way. If AT is locked behind a rank class, it makes armor more viable. You have to coordinate to get higher ranked players to the enemy armor, or you'll have to send your own armor your way, or that way. It's just easy, or rather, it's just too easy as it is. Huge agree here. Huge agree. I won't go into a big Soviet RPG rant, but the amount of times you kill someone, it's like 3 out of 4 Russians or Soviet players that you kill have RPGs, and not only that, they've got 5 RPGs in the backpack. It's a bit ridiculous. And it almost seems like the supply cost isn't enough. So I hard agree. I think that the RPGs and laws should be rank locked. I would actually choose to believe, much to my annoyance, that this was actually unintended. I think that they missed when they were going through and thinking about things to rank lock. Yeah, I think
it was just something that they looked over a little bit.
Yeah. And 2, you, even if you're not interacting with armor at all in a given game, you feel it because you just get the confidence that you feel from the other side when you're dealing with a Soviet guy that misses 3 RPGs and still refuses to put the RPG away because he's got 3 or 2 more RPGs in the bag.
Right.
Um, Something's broken there.
Yeah.
Um, I I think even if you set RPGs at 1,000 supply cost, people would still find a way to do it.
Yeah, they would still justify it in their heads to be like, okay, if I take out one LAV or two um, the 50 cal Humvees, then it's worth it in the end or something.
Yeah.
There is a comment on here that says you've accidentally discovered reward tactics playing Arma. Tankers normally use combined operations, and I do think that could be an aspect of it. Maybe they were hoping that the player base would use their LAPs and uh, mounted weapon systems on Humvees and stuff as more of a combined arms where there's infantry being able to deal with other infantry outside of it, and they're just there to support by fire basically. So I can see both sides of it, but I do agree maybe have it rank locked for right now until people start figuring that out. I think if they would be able to.
Yeah. Next topic, uh, vanilla servers. I remember seeing a bunch of vanilla servers made by the community, and now I only see 2 or 3, and the rest are official servers. Did the community vanilla servers get dropped, or did everyone move to modded servers? I just added this as a topic because I feel like a lot of new players don't, um, especially console players that don't have access to Steam. I wonder how console players have access to like the patch notes and hotfix notes.
Yeah.
Um, they added a monetization program. So for a small chunk of time, you could have a community server that was listed in the official tab. But um, once they added in monetization, they effectively put that feature, if you want to call it a feature, behind filling out like some terms of service and terms of use agreements as a server owner that you have to agree to.
Gotcha.
And I don't know if there's a minimum hardware requirement for what your server is running, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was similar in Squad in that way.
Gotcha. That's not something I know a ton about, so I will just nod my head and say I agree.
This also could be a comment, to be fair, on a bunch of vanilla servers made by the community. It could just be a literal comment about the disparity between like Warpig's NA1 and 2 and then like the 3 or 4 Russian servers that are just
Yeah.
unmodded vanilla conquest or conflict. I don't
Yeah.
know why I keep saying conquest.
It's a
Um,
battlefield thing.
yeah. Um, Thanks.
You're
Um,
welcome.
because that's a real disparity. Uh, no real justification or reasoning behind that. There are so many people to play the game, and there are so many different goals, and people burn out at different rates and are attracted to different things.
Right.
So that could just be most servers just trying out mods, and that's effectively as
Mm-hmm.
simple as just not having mods on your server one day and then having mods on your server the next. Warpigs
Yeah.
on NA2 added mods, I guess, for a day, and then they
Huh.
immediately reverted it back to vanilla. I guess we just didn't play that game. I never noticed,
Play
but
that game.
um,
Interesting. That's. I think also now that I am kind of reading this over and thinking about it, I think most people want the more modern military feel. They don't want to play a game that feels like it was meant to play in the 80s, like it is meant to be played in the 80s. Because I think the year, what year is it in Reforger? It's like 85 or something, 86.
yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, like just before the Soviet collapse. But I think most people aren't really drawn to uh, that vibe. Most people want that modern combat, that battlefield esque gameplay, but on a bigger scale. So
Yeah,
could also be kind of a detriment to all the vanilla servers disappearing and all that fun stuff.
Next topic. I picked this just because it's common on the Reddit. Um, Newbie me needing some help. Hey guys, just bought Armor Reforger on PC. I like the whole concept of the game and what you can do, but I'm having trouble understanding it. One of the biggest issues for me is navigation. I have flown a helicopter a couple times and I attempted to transport people, but I end up just letting someone else fly as I have no idea where to go. The map is confusing for me and I have no clue on how to set map markers, how to fly to a specific point, etc. If anyone has a video or tutorial on how to navigate in a helicopter so I can keep transporting people successfully, I would appreciate it. Thanks. I picked this less for the helicopter references because effectively this guy's talking about like he only wants to fly a helicopter, right? But
Yeah.
navigation on the map is effectively the same whether you're in the air or on the ground. And I picked this because my name is Bambi Sandy for a couple of reasons. One of them, which I just apparently carry from game to game, is it's really easy for me to get lost
Yeah.
when I'm between like the 20-hour mark and the 400-hour mark. There's still some areas on the map where I'm like, I swear to God, I've had my compass up the whole time. I still have yet to successfully navigate from coastal Chotain to Andre's Beacon. Not once. Even if I'm literally following the road to there, I will always like, oh, it's gonna be right on the other side of this tree line, and then I'm immediately just fucking nope. Um, so I have a personal connection with this question, and I think it's pretty common. You
Yeah.
spend a considerable amount of time. If you look at the map of Everon, it's pretty northeast or northwest southeast. Um, you'll spend a considerable amount of time going east to west.
Uh-huh.
When you go from province to Fagari, you're more going west than you are
West.
south.
Yep.
Most of the tree lines, I don't know if it was intentional. Most of the tree lines are run east to west. They don't run
Yep.
north to south. Um, so you'll find yourself consistently with like land-based markers, which is what we all do, right? Like in real life, I'm fucking terrible at land nav, but you just terrain association, right? I'm
Yep.
going to Entradour. I can see the radio tower from Montanak. It's not hard
Yeah.
for me to go over there.
Just
But
point yourself in that direction.
when there's no real discernible terrain, you don't want to fucking listen. Like everyone's only got 3-4 hours to play on average. I don't have the time to collectively spend an hour and a half of that looking at the map and thinking like, oh well, I passed that little like prison cell chapel building that there are 70 of on the map. So maybe I'm over here, but then like the tree line kind of juts out like this right here, and I'm kind of like a little to the north of that. Like I don't have that fucking time, and most people don't have that time either. Um, so just sort of like an explanation of like kind of how you feel that way. There's no shame if, especially if you're flying in a helicopter and using the coasts and bodies of water as your landmarks, right? Like if you're
Mhm.
trying to go from uh, military base Levy to Chotain or coastal base Morton, just fucking fly west until you hit the coastline and then follow the coastline, brother.
Yep.
Um, and then too, like when you're inland, it really sucks too because a considerable bit of how you navigate is going to be based on what server you're playing on because how much especially in a helicopter, what's your load distance for like what you can literally see? Is it all basically just fog and you can only see explicitly what's below you? Um, there were a couple of times when to be fair, when I first started, where I was on the southeast part of the map and I'm trying to go from like military base Levy to Quarry, and I've literally like run past Quarry over and over and over and over and over again was because the server that I was playing on for the longest time had the view distance set so fucking low that you couldn't see from one side of a valley to
Valley to
another.
the other.
So you had no idea that you were actually in the middle of the map because when you looked to, in any direction, you felt like you were on the coast. you're like,
Right.
well, I can't actually see anything that's over in that direction. There's no like hill or um, so it's really easy to get lost. Just takes a little bit of less like holistic map knowledge and just repetition, right? Move with
Yeah.
other people when you're riding in a vehicle. Just kind of pay attention to what you're passing by
Mhm.
to remember like street signs or like when I'm going from Province to Simon's Wood or Simon's Wood to like to Montagnec or Entradour, right? I know that I have to like kind of follow the road a little bit, cut off to the right, and then I'm gonna pass that little pond that's on the side of the road that kind of like honestly shouldn't be there. And then I kind of have to like just pull out the compass, point myself to the northeast, and walk into the void up the hill, the tiny little slight wheat field hill that has no
Right.
discernible landmark or detail to it, and then bam, I'm at Entradour. Um, you just kind of have to get used to the in between bits.
Right. Yeah. Um, I would say there's definitely a couple of good points on this post as well. Um, Looking for landmarks, especially if you're starting out on the ground, getting familiar with the map is good. Kind of just recognizing where most people play. So that's going to be Province, Figari, Pinewood, Montagnec, anything to the right of that, basically. And to the south and north of that is basically what most people play on. So if you can navigate between, I'd say, Montagnec, Entredor, Provence, and Figari, you can pretty consistently get to any of the action, any of the. Um, if you're trying to transport people, they'll be pretty happy if they end up in a place where it's not too far away from the action. Like if you get them to Provence, then they're only a 5 minute walk from Montagnec. Like it's not that big of a deal. And there's obviously cars that spawn at Provence too, so they can just take a car, find a jeep, find someone else that's going to Montagnec, and go with them. But like just getting, like he was saying, like Bambi was saying, getting that not necessarily map knowledge, but that repetition of where things are, and then just kind of developing a process for yourself of being like, oh, I'm gonna walk from Coastal Base Levee down to Simon's Wood. I know that's just to the right. If I walk into this wheat field, that's gonna be fine. Like just having little processes for yourself is immensely helpful.
For sure. And then the last Reddit topic is honestly we're gonna kind of skim the topic itself because it's a little verbose, but honest, unbiased opinions: armor reforger or squad. And then they list out a bunch of fucking questions basically for people to react to. We're just gonna take the headline at its as the question and just answer that. Um,
Yeah.
Reforger. You can like, dislike the infantry combat overhaul. You can like, dislike the maps that are on offer, the layers that are on offer, the map voting, the faction voting, um, the speed of development, the techniques. I almost said tactics. That would have been a little loaded. The techniques that the devs have for squad. Um, Everyone knows that Reforger is an in-between project, in between Arma 3 and Arma 4. But
Yeah.
Arma 4 isn't going to come out for another couple of years. And Arma Reforger exists effectively as a playtest for 4. So
Yep.
the game as you're playing it is just going to be ported into Arma 4.
Yep.
So you're not losing out on any muscle memory. I'm sure maybe the map will be different, or maybe there will be, you got to figure there will be a couple of extra maps in addition to Everon and whatever the fucking the other
Arma.
one is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but what really matters there is that you're not completely restarting your experience. So we look at everything in kind of a competitive lens. So when I'm sort of thinking through this, I'm thinking from like a casual player or competitive player's perspective and not so much from the Milsim side. Um, Absolutely worth getting Armory Forger, and it's a better investment than Squad is, right?
Hmm.
Just because Squad's been out for a fucking minute, And just objectively speaking, it's been out for 6, 7 years, something like that, since 2017, I think, technically speaking. Um,
Yeah,
and it's only come this far in that time.
it's a 10-year-old game.
It's taken more than a few steps backwards in any
Yeah,
given year. Reforger hasn't done that, and it's made by, whether you want to feel some type of way about it, the statement or not, it's made by a legitimate game company that does not
yeah,
have a mobile games CEO. Um, Armor Reforger is made by people that are very comfortable in their wheelhouse. Even if you
yep,
want to make the meme or the joke that it's made by a group of interns, the group of interns have access to devs that have been making these kind of games for fucking forever.
yep,
That's why it feels so good. It feels
right.
so good. And just to specifically speak to the competitive people that are for some reason still playing Squad, brothers, pre ICO, the best that Squad gunplay ever felt, never felt as good as it does in Reforger. And you have the scale of Reforger that just feels so good on top of it.
Oh yeah,
For as much as I shit on the saw, I like that I can control the recoil like it's nothing with tracers and not even aiming down sights, just hip
yep,
fire. The AK, you go crouched like any moderate human being would assume. You set yourself up with all right positioning. You don't sprint while you're trying. Not that you can sprint while shooting, but like you stop, you pop a squat, you aim, and you can put all 30 rounds of a magazine into a guy.
yep.
The hit reg, I've seen a couple of times people complain about the hit registration. I don't think they know what the fuck they're talking about. I've never had a moment where the
I
hit
think it's
registration was wrong.
I think it's just their internet being crappy. Honestly, I have not great internet, but I think I've never had anything where it's been like, oh, this hit is not registering. But
Yeah, I've had for sure moments where like the between body armor. Oh, I guess,
right,
looking back on it, most of my shots were limb shots. The body armor, you can see 5 of my rounds fucking bounce off the guys or spark off the guy's weapon, which is
yep,
so goddamn annoying. But I agree with it. Okay. Um, you know, it just feels fucking good. It
yeah, it
feels
does.
good. It's infinitely more moddable than Squad will ever be.
Ever be, yeah,
Um, I just everything is right there. I can understand feeling some type of way about the price tag being like $39.99. I think it is currently.
yeah, I think
I
so.
would be I would be absolutely shocked because it is known as an in between project. I would be incredibly shocked if there wasn't a discount on Arma 4 for people that own Arma Reforger. Even if it's $10, $20. Um, I I it would be wild. I don't expect in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with that. As much as I like Squad and I feel like I was there since the start of it, I do feel like it's gone steps back and not forward. And it kind of has outlasted its um, enjoyability with me. Like it got to the point towards the end of my squad stuff where I was just hopping into a match just so I can fly a helicopter and listen to music because that is the least stressful thing I can do in that game. It's the only way I can actually be useful in that game. Most of the time, people didn't want hat, they didn't want a lap person, but I do agree with Bambi. The armor reforger just feels good. I love the gunplay. I love the fact that you have to actually be cognate. Cognate? How do you say that word?
Cognizant.
Cognizant. Thank you. Actually, have to be thinking about what you're doing, not just kind of like running after your squad leader and him telling you, okay, we're gonna push into this town, all that fun stuff. Like you actually have to be listening to what's going on around you, to what might be um, twigs snapping. The birds say that there's people in the trees because they're flying away from a tree line that no teammate is in. Like just the environment of it is immensely more enjoyable to me, and just I would like, if I could combine the two, I would like the team aspect of squad into Armory Forger, but like for what it is, it's just an in between. It's a fantastic in between, honestly. So
Yeah. And then to more or less close us out, I don't know what to name this section. We're gonna call it Sandy's Leaders Corner. For some reason, I wanted to call it Sandy's Book Corner, but that didn't really make any sense. Just gonna kind of give a generic tip for the game for the people managers out there in the crowd. Probably speaking more to squad people that are looking to port that skill set into the game than people that have 3,000 hours in Armory Forger somehow and fucking know everything. Um,
right.
what you're going to want to do, we're going to kind of talk just real quick, maybe 2 minutes, about what you're doing when you first pop into a server, right? For a
Mhm.
lot of people, this doesn't necessarily go for people that are explicitly looking to like lead a group of people, but anyone can use it, but it's something that you have to do if you're sort of the guy in charge for your people, right?
Mhm.
What server are you playing on? Okay, do you play on it all the time? Okay, cool. What are kind of the stereotypes of that server? You don't know? Okay, well you need to fucking find that shit out. Does
Mhm.
Russia steamroll US all the fucking time? Are you gonna account for that? Does that mean that you play US? Does that mean you play Russia? What vibe are you going for? Hop on the server. How long has the runtime gone? The only time that you can see the match runtime is at the end of the game and when you pop into the server.
Yep.
It's not quite like Squad where you can build. Like in Squad, I know that if a match has been going for 40 minutes, the match is basically about to end. So
Mhm.
if I go in and I see the layout of the objectives and see what's ours and what's theirs at 40 minutes in, and we're in the middle of the map, then this is about to be a really good game, and we're playing against some people that are pretty good. If I come into the match at 40 minutes, or rather 40 minutes left, um, and well, no, same deal, same difference, and our team is on the last cap, I'm not even going to spawn in. You can't really kind of build that average out in this game just because matches go for so long and there are so many people of varying skill sets playing on any given match, um, that there's no way to kind of like build data from that.
Mhm.
Um, when you pick a team, right? Um, Look at the map. You know, our default is kind of pick somewhere in the middle of the map where you're, like Province, Montagnard, Entredur, somewhere where you're, don't spawn on military base Levi because you're never going to get counterattacked there. Spawn in somewhere where you can inherently be doing defense by just having your body on the point. But what you should be doing before, hopefully before your guys make it through queue, is just kind of looking at the map and building like, okay, what's happening? All right, the enemy's taking coastal Trotain, the map's kind of split down the middle, looks reasonable, and then build from that, because every match is kind of different. Build from that then what you want to do. uh, so technically, anyone should, like, I do it all the fucking time when I just pop in. Anyone can do that, but if you're leading a group of guys, what you should really be thinking about with Reforger or any game that you're playing is what sort of experience do you want to provide for your dudes. And data is a big piece of that. You don't want to go off half cocked and willy nilly because you'll do, like, we've had a couple of matches sometimes where, like, hey, we're going to go in before we even join the server, and hey, our goal today, we never really play on the west side of the map, so we're gonna try that
Right.
out. Come into the server, and the west side of the map is completely locked up, and you're like, okay, well, we're just gonna
Never
fucking
mind.
sit around or do something, or
Right.
you set out with a goal like that, and your team just fucking does nothing. You don't even have Coastal Morton, right? If you tell yourself that you're going to control the west side of the map, you got to fucking start from Coastal Morton or Cav Hill or something like that. If your team is
Yep.
just absolutely getting sandbagged and you're fighting and struggling to hold on to military base Levi, if you're on, say US on the south side of the map, like, then that goal and those expectations that you built just don't even exist. Was worthless, waste of time. People get burnt out. No one wants to join in because I said a couple of times, right? Like, most people have 2-3 hours to play the game. Um, you don't want people to burn out an hour in. Happens all the time. Me and Skittles will pop on, we'll do duos, and the night's just not feeling right. We'll go and attack a couple of objectives, and we'll recognize that kind of like, we
Vibe's
fucking,
not really there.
yeah, like, hey, we took on Tradur, but the game crashed 7 times in the process, and the enemy's already retaking it when we went to go take Andre's
Yeah.
Beacon. Like, maybe we don't stay up an extra hour.
Right.
Maybe we go fucking
Kind of
eat
call it
dinner.
for the night or something. Yeah.
Yeah. I just use squad terminology because I'm broken. As a squad leader, your job is to manage those expectations, feel that stuff out, see where other people are at. Don't just be a dictator and set that stuff. And for sure, don't set those goals or expectations without actually getting into the game and seeing what you're working with.
Right.
Because we could just assume that Russia trounces US all day, every day, but you might hop onto the server and find that it's the other way around. Or you might hop onto the server and see that like it's actually kind of dead. Like for some reason, no one's doing anything. If we go in and we say that we have plans to play on like NA1 on War Pigs or something like that, and then the queue has 40 people in it, or 38 people, I think is the max.
Max. Yeah.
Um, I guess we're playing on NA2. NA2 has 30 people on it. Okay, well, maybe what are we doing? Um, so short, simple, sweet. My little leader's corner things are just going to get progressively more relevant. So I had to start with something that was really fucking not relevant or advanced at all.
Right.
That's going to be the end of this thing. You can find us, not that anyone gives a damn, on the Warpig servers. We play pretty consistently on NA2, just because it's sort of the ladder server, vanilla server to get seeded. So it typically doesn't have a 38-person queue. Trying to spend a little bit more time on NA1, but third person just fucking sucks. Especially if you're not playing with third person. We don't have any social media or anything like that. So just communicate to us through YouTube, or you can find us through the official game Arma Discord or the Warpigs Discord. If you sat through all nearly 2 hours of this, you're an absolute trooper. I figured that
Yeah.
the people that were more likely to listen to this uh, weren't going to have some crazy action sequence as the background. So this is definitely pop on and listen while you're playing another game or playing Reforger or something sort of thing. So
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
appreciate the interest, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.